Have you ever finished reading an entire chapter, watched an hour-long video, or spent weeks working on a project, only to realize that you didn't actually understand what you were doing? Most people assume the problem is intelligence, discipline, or talent. They think they need to work harder, push longer, or consume more information. But what if the real problem is that nobody taught you how to observe your own thinking? This is where metacognition comes in. Metacognition is simply thinking about your thinking. The term was introduced by psychologist John Flavel in the 1970s, but the concept is far older. At its core, metacognition is the ability to step outside your own mind and observe how it is operating. Instead of being carried away by thoughts, emotions, assumptions, and impulses, you become the person watching them. It is the difference between having thoughts and understanding how those thoughts are being created. Most people operate on autopilot. They believe something because it feels right. They continue using strategies that no longer work. They mistake familiarity for understanding. They become trapped by confirmation bias, emotional reactions, and blind spots they cannot see. When they fail, they often blame themselves. They think they lack talent, discipline, or intelligence. But in many cases, the system failed, not the person. For years, I believed that if I simply worked harder, results would eventually appear. If I didn't understand something, I would reread it. If a plan failed, I would push harder. If I felt confident about an idea, I assumed the idea was good. The problem was that I was focusing entirely on the task and never examining the process behind the task. I was treating my brain like a machine while never checking whether the machine was running correctly. Everything changed when I started asking a simple question. How am I thinking about this problem? That question creates distance between you and your thoughts. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin observing. Instead of defending your assumptions, you test them. Instead of repeating mistakes, you identify the mechanism creating those mistakes. Metacognition consists of two major components. The first is metacognitive knowledge. This is your understanding of how your own mind works. You know your strengths, weaknesses, learning preferences, attention patterns, and cognitive limitations. You understand that different problems require different strategies. You know when a task requires deep analysis and when it requires creativity. The second component is metacognitive regulation. This is where the real power appears. Regulation involves planning, monitoring, and evaluating your thinking. Before a task, you decide on a strategy. During the task, you monitor whether that strategy is working. After the task, you evaluate the outcome and refine your approach for the future. Research consistently shows that people with high metacognitive ability learn faster, solve problems more effectively, perform better academically, and make more accurate decisions. Studies have also linked stronger metacognitive ability to greater activity and structural integrity in parts of the prefrontal cortex, responsible for monitoring and executive control. High metacognitive individuals demonstrate better self-regulation, more accurate confidence judgments, stronger adaptability, and greater resilience when confronting complex challenges. The practical application is surprisingly simple. Imagine reading a difficult document. A person with low metacognitive awareness reaches the end of 3 pages, realizes they absorbed nothing, and starts over using exactly the same method. A person using metacognition notices confusion immediately. They pause. They identify the obstacle. Maybe unfamiliar terminology is the issue. Maybe attention is fading. Maybe the material requires a visual explanation. Instead of repeating failure, they change strategy. This same process applies to business, investing, relationships, leadership, and personal growth. When a project fails, metacognition asks why the system failed. When an argument occurs, metacognition asks which assumptions were inaccurate. When an opportunity appears exciting, metacognition asks whether excitement is hiding risk. You can strengthen this skill through simple exercises. Use the Feynman technique by explaining complex ideas in plain language. If you cannot simplify it, you probably do not understand it. Use the why loop by repeatedly asking why you believe something until you reach the original assumption. Keep a reflective journal focused not on outcomes, but on decision-making processes. Over time, patterns become visible. The greatest benefit of metacognition is not intelligence. It is the reduction of decision fatigue. When you understand how your mind operates, you spend less energy fighting confusion, uncertainty, and repeated mistakes. You identify errors earlier. You adapt faster. You stop wasting mental resources on ineffective strategies. Every improvement compounds because you are improving the system that controls every other skill. The people who learn the fastest are not always the smartest. They are simply the individuals who have learned to observe their own thinking with honesty and precision. Because once you can see how your mind works, you gain the ability to improve it. The goal is not to think more. The goal is to think better about the way you think. So if you want to build stronger thinking systems, make better decisions, and stop thinking more to start thinking better, hit subscribe and stay in the game. Let's sharpen that cognitive edge, one video at a time.